I'll hide behind a smile and understanding eyes.
I don't know if it ever happened to you, but as a young man, I would go out looking for fights on the weekends. And when you'd see the other guy, it was almost like, do you want to dance? You'd see the other guy and you'd both go like, oh, thank God I found you.
Tonight, Henry Rollins puts himself through the man test, an interview and psychological questionnaire designed to reveal how masculine or feminine he really is. What kind of man is Henry Rollins?
You want to know why? 'Cause I'm a liar!
Good to see you. Well, it's very grand and multi-tiered.
So how would you describe yourself as a man?
Well, very solitary, and due to a few factors, by choice, by nature of the work I do and the schedule I keep, it just keeps you moving. I'm always getting ready to go on stage.
I'm a man now. I'm okay with myself, and it's good to be here. And so I went and bought a house at age 38 a few months ago. So I walk in, and the place is bare. There's nothing in it. Of course, there's an empty house. And I said, that's it. I'm done moving. I moved the weight set out of the living room of the apartment into the garage of the house, and I was done. Because my concept is the house is going to be one huge dojo. And I'll live on the floor and still be able to keep my edge. So between tours, when I cease to exist, I'll be low to the ground. And people will come over to the house. Hey, Henry, I heard you bought a house. Yeah. Why, you want to come over? Not that you know me or anything.
Who are the people who you do allow to come close?
Nobody, really.
Why do you think that is?
Let's see. I don't know if I have a real fear of intimacy, but I have probably convinced myself that I don't need it. And also, I'm pretty sure that if someone got really close, there might not be anything there.
For the first part of the man test, I'd like you to draw a human figure. It can be anyone you like, and in as much detail as you like.
I'm trying to draw a male. Let's see, who is it? See, it's not going to be very expressive because I just don't have it. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, he'll be a mutant. He's been drinking water near a Dow chemical plant. We'll give him 7 fingers. Since he needs a job at the freak show, he'll be like the crab-handed boy. Club foot. He has a club foot.
The analysis of his drawing emphasizes how childlike it is in many ways. The actual figure is drawn in a childlike way, and the tiny nose, the tiny features of the figure suggest somebody who perhaps when they were young felt very small, was very small, puny even. The image contains signs of damage to the body. So there's a club foot, there are only 4 fingers on one hand and there are 7 on the other, distortions, mutilation. And this could suggest a fear of being damaged on the one hand, but also perhaps a fear of being damaging to others.
I was born in Washington, D.C. in 1961. I have very early memories of crawling on the floor, that kind of age, whatever that is, too. And I think I remember my parents being together, but I think they were divorced around that time. And so Monday through Friday, be with mom, go to school, come home, eat dinner and all that. And then Saturday morning, Dad comes and picks you up, and you do the 2 days with Dad. Sunday evening, around dinner time, you're returned to your mom's apartment.
Using the 1 to 7 scale in front of you, To what extent are you independent?
4.
If you had to choose, are you more like your father or more like your mother?
More like my father. He was thoroughly intimidating. He would just do stuff that had me shaking. We'd be driving, I'm in the passenger seat, he'd go see some guy in a car, he'd go, roll down your window, which means, oh no, here we go. You roll down the window and sink down into your seat, and he'd minority bait some guy who he thought cut him off or something. Get behind the Chinese guy, ride the horn all the way, with the high beams on, all the way through the tunnel near DuPont Circle. Thought it was the funniest thing he ever did. That first time he did that, he and I went like 80 light years apart. And getting older, you know, his advice on women, he was giving you tips on women way before you needed it. Don't ever eat pussy off a girl who has shorter hair than you. And I don't know what that means now or what it meant then.
Do you prefer to be on top or underneath during sex? If you had to choose.
I'll take anything at this point. If it's female, has a pulse, and will hold still for a minute, I don't care where she puts me.
I'm not slick around women. I have a tendency to blurt out, to ejaculate, like, what a vulva! Sorry, I'm so sorry. Nipples! Shh! I'm not slick at all. I don't have a like Bond, James Bond. I'm like, wow, you have a lovely crack in your ass!
Boys, I think, are like assaulted, mugged by puberty, infested by puberty. That's me. I went from human being, hello girl, to, ooh, oh, I didn't know what to do. I was like, that's all I wanted. Didn't even know really what I wanted to do, but whoom.
How confident were you about sex as a teenager?
Let's see. It took a long time to have any kind of confidence at all. 17.
Do you still find it hard to relate to girls?
Yeah. Oh, it gets harder as you get older. For me, definitely. Because when you're an adult, everything's heavy. It's not like, la, 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 la. It's like, hey. You know. And if you go out too long with a woman, if you go out for a long time with a woman, the ovaries start to speak.
Deep down, do you believe that most women want a man to show who's boss?
I don't know.
From the 8 pairs of images in front of you, I would like you to select one image from each pair according to your preference for colour, shape and object.
Henry Rollins' selection of pictures suggests the sort of man who is very sexually passionate on the one hand, but on the other is somebody who actually doesn't like to let go too much in bed, likes to keep his instincts under control. It also suggests somebody who likes to keep women at a distance and who does not want sex to rule his life.
I'd only had sex one time before I joined Black Flag. The next time I had sex was with a Susie and the Banshee looking chick in the van parked outside a punk rock squat. And so what I learned about women was on the road. I had a girlfriend once for like a month. Didn't work. One for a few months, didn't work. And then one in '85 that went for about like 14 months. And maybe 15 months. That is the longest relationship I have ever had with a female.
Using the scale, how often do you feel you are understanding?
6 usually.
Using the scale, to what extent would you describe yourself as being affectionate?
4. Occasionally. 4 times in my life since 1986, I've been really, really into a girl. Actually,
In love?
yeah. But 1 time for sure. And people would come up to me, Henry, what are you doing? I'm like, what? You're smiling. I'm like, no, I'm not. You're smiling. You're smiling all the time. I'm like, no, I'm not. You're in love, aren't you? I'm like, oh, I think I'm going to throw up. They go, yep. And it was, I think one of the 2 most powerful experiences of my life.
When you were a boy, did you play much with girls or only with other boys?
Let's see. Boys. I used to get beat up a lot in grades 1 through 3. It was like this late 60s. DC was on fire.
Without the cooling influence of the American Gandhi, as he's been called, the riots could flare up with even more bitterness.
You know, I remember walking into my mother's bedroom one morning going, this man named Martin Luther King's been assassinated. So I was watching morning cartoons and it was on the morning news.
Indeed, it was Dr. King himself, shortly before his death, who said, "The flashpoint of Negro rage is close at hand."
That's when you'd go to school and a kid would walk up and punch you in the mouth.
It's a black kid.
Yeah. And I was like one of 3 white kids at this school. And so, you know, the kid would hit you, and then all the other kids would go around you and go, fight, fight, nigger and a white, beat him, nigger, beat him, because the white can't fight, that's right. And they'd all laugh, and you'd piss your pants. And so you'd go and tell your dad about it. And that's when, like, fighting practice started. That's when the fight club started. And we go out on the front lawn. I go, I'm getting beat up at school. Well, no son of mine's going to have a spade beat him up. And that was his operative word for black. Either Marvin Food Stamp or spade. Then, to see if his teaching was good, he sicked me on the boys in his neighborhood. So I went up the street one day to a boy who I am friends with. See him? I go, yeah. He goes, go give him zap, which means go hit him. And either I'm going to go hit Richie or I'm going to deal with my dad. So I knew what the choice was. I went in, and Richie gets up. He's like 2 years older than me. He goes like, hi. I'm like, hi. Wham! I take him out. And like he hits the ground, and he's like, ah! And goes running inside to his dad, to his parents. Because his friend just came up and whacked him one. And I came back out to the sidewalk. My dad was standing on the sidewalk, laughing till tears were falling out of his eyes. He thought it was so funny. He's there with a cigar, bent over double, laughing.
Using the scale, to what extent would you describe yourself as sympathetic?
6, usually.
Using the scale, to what extent are you sensitive to the needs of others?
6, usually.
In what circumstances would you use violence?
To survive.
This kind of response is fairly typical of somebody who as a child may have felt that they were a victim. And as an adult, they may still continue to feel very persecuted, and they may feel very weak, very feeble, physically and mentally.
So, parents went, what do we do with this kid? A Bullis Naval Preparatory School for Boys. That'll fix his wagon. I'm like, whatever you say. And all of a sudden, I'm in this uniform. Terrifying. I'm an outsider, the screw-ups. I was one of them. Not good at sports, not good at school. We were the geeks, and we were often left alone until puberty, and then we were picked on. But before that, we were non-entities.
Do you think it's important for men to be physically strong?
Yes. We get a new teacher at school, teacher of Mediterranean history, Vietnam veteran. Real big muscles. He's the guy, all the teachers are wearing those bad, stretchy dress shirts from the day. He'd go like this, and the thing would stretch like a comic book character. I was like, did you see that guy? And his nickname for me was, hey, little faggot. Nice guy. Hey, little faggot. Hey, oh, you're just teasing me, huh? Sit down, little faggot. Okay. And so one day he says, so look, little faggot, you're going to have your little mommy buy you a weight set at Sears. That was more attention that any male was paying to me. And a young boy should have a male figure in his life, a big brother, a father, somebody. Well, all I know is I wanted it. You know, I wanted a man to go, here's how it is. Without saying, you know, your mother's okay, I want you to respect her, but she's a spade lover, so don't take her too seriously. Like wisdom from dad. So it was cool for a guy, even though he was kind of harsh, teasing me. He was paying attention to me, and it went a long way with me. And so I'm lifting, and all of a sudden I'm throwing on 2.5s. I need 5 more pounds. I need 5 more every week. I'm making my little progress on the weight thing. I'm watching my lifts go up. And it's not like I'm Charles Atlas or anything, but I had a physique. It was probably the pivotal moment of my youth where I went, oh, okay, I'm capable of something. And so it's not as if my self-esteem shot through the roof, but I became aware of what that one can have some.
If you had to live as one of these people, who would you rather be? Gandhi, Einstein, Bill Gates, John Lennon, or Muhammad Ali?
Just I like Muhammad Ali. I don't know if I want to live like him. Wow, that's great. If I were a woman, I would want a man. I would want a man who would listen to me, not hit me, be smart, know about poetry and literature, not be like this guy who's knuckles scraping the ground, some drooling Neanderthal. I'd want an articulate, sensitive man who could whoop that ass. Einstein hung out with a bunch of intellectuals all the time. John Lennon got shot in the head and had a crazy wife. Bill Gates, he dicks around with computers too much. I'm not interested in the pseudo-intellectual man who can quote Proust, who has soft hands, and when the heavy stuff comes down, he's going to be, but Plutonius said... Who didn't we have? Muhammad Ali and Gandhi? He drank his own piss. I have to go with Muhammad Ali. Brave, articulate, at the end of the day, loves humanity, tremendous athlete, which I'm not. But what a man, you know. He said it, he walked it, he talked it, he was black, he said this stuff in the 60s. Why he didn't get what Martin Luther King got, I have no idea. Maybe he commanded even respect amongst the people who hated him.
Using the scale, to what extent do you have a strong personality?
7, always.
Using the scale, how aggressive are you?
Well, this is frequency. For me, it's function. When the going gets rough, get rough. So when the occasion arises, I'll do what I need to do to get through.
Can you give it a score?
Occasionally. 4. When I was younger, there'd be all these young guys running up to get their piece of me. You think you're bad, huh? Let's go. I'm like...
How often are you gentle?
4, occasionally. And so I'd have to get out of a lot of fights because these guys have to prove themselves. I'm the yardstick, and I don't want to be a yardstick. My face just can't take it. And so I have to like kind of defuse the bomb. And I go, oh yeah? I don't have the thing for that. Sometimes you couldn't get out of it. So through the 80s and into a few years into the 90s, I got in a lot of fist fights here and there, many different countries.
What do you hate most about men?
All that stuff. The guy who punches the woman out and all that macho stuff without any articulation, just like the tough guy thing, without any mind behind it. here we go, here we go, here we go, all the lad thing turns me off. So much of it I see here in England just bums me out.
Using the scale, to what extent would you describe yourself as a lover of children?
Using a scale? Oh, 7, always.
I mean, is there any part of you that would love to be a dad at all?
No. No, I love kids. They drive me nuts. I love them.
Can you imagine being perfectly happy to give up your career to look after kids?
If I had kids, I would want to make sure I was there so they wouldn't know who this weird guy was coming in every once in a while. And I might not be happy giving up the career, but I would not mess up a kid by being this stranger. I couldn't do that to someone else. And I don't like, okay, we're going to go to the airport now, get the child carrier, the bags. I see these parents with one little infant and all this stuff. Like, what is it, a film crew? They're like loaded down with Sherpa guides getting them to the plane. I'm like, man, I like my backpack, a cup of coffee, and my itinerary and my passport, and I'm out of here.
The test results show that Henry Rollins falls into a category known as the self-explorer, but he's also an experimentalist. And that's true of about 15% of us. It means that he's a maverick, an individualist, a loner, but also somebody who's at odds with public morality. He has his own morality, which is often contradicting the official view of life, if you like. He's constantly seeking stimulation, and that also means that he's constantly being frustrated. But luckily for him, as these people get older, they tend to seek stimulation less, and so they tend to be less frustrated.
Do you ever worry that being a man is not a good thing?
What choice do I have? You know?
Henry Rollins on this test actually scores more on the femininity side than on the masculinity side. His male score is actually 67% and his female score is 73%, which might seem very odd, but in fact what the test is testing is self-perception. So the way he sees himself is as a nurturant, loving, caring, all the stereotypically female things, but the way he comes across is extremely masculine. So his public image contradicts his private image. And of course that's true of all of us to a large degree. The way we see ourselves and how other people see us do not often coincide.
Thanks. See you. Good night. See ya.
And again, I'll lie again and again, and I'll keep lying. I promise.